Sometimes we cannot find a death date, so we need to estimate the date of death. The census records can help us with this. This video will show you how to estimate the date of death and hopefully the location in which they died. The first thing I want to show you is an example of figuring out death dates using census. We may not get an exact date, but we should be able to get an approximate time frame. So I have Paul Wattenpaugh and his wife Margaret. I don't have a death record or death date for either one of them. So I'm going to click on Paul. And I'm going to go to the sources. I've researched him pretty good. And I'm going to start here in 1850. We see that we have Paul and Margaret. Their children are already gone. And they're in Rensselaer, New York. Okay, and now let's look. 1855 is the New York State Census. And we have Paul and Margaret. They're both 62, and they're in the same place in New York. And I have searched all over for 1860. As of this point in time, I have not found them in 1860. I find Paul in 1865. Here's Eliza, and she's married to Stephen Link. And we have Paul, he's the father-in-law, so that is her father. It's just the name is spelled that name is hard for other people to understand and to spell. But this is him, this is Paul, and we notice that we have a Jane. The name looks very similar. I don't know if her name is Wattenpaugh. It doesn't look like it on the record. She's only 23. This is not Margaret, and so Margaret is not here in this 1865 census. So it appears that Margaret has died between 1855 and 1865. That's a 10-year gap. We don't know exactly when. The 1860 would certainly help us narrow it down, but I have not found that. So at least we know that she died in that 10-year period. And if we look at 1870, we have Paul Wattenpaugh Kennedy, 78 years old, and living still in the same area and with his daughter. It says Elvira, but I think it's Eliza. And so he is still alive in 1870, and there's no records. Now let's go back over here to the details. And let's go to Eliza. And let's look at the records for her. So here's Eliza. And we see that she died in 1877. 1875 is another state census. And there's Stephen and Eliza, and their father is not living, her father is not living with them. So let's check the other daughter. Here's Catherine. Go to the sources. We see that she died in 1882. So let's check the 1875. And her father is not living with her. And 1880. He is not living with her. So because of the census, we can at least get approximation dates. So Paul, it appears that he died after 1870, so between 1870 and 1875, because he does not appear in the 1875 census. So we have a 5-year gap right there, or time period, where he passed away. And then we also, for Margaret, we have a 10-year period of time. So let's go back to his. And she was in the 1855, but not the 1865. So let's go in and we will put down Since they always lived there, I'm pretty sure that's where he died. It may not be positive, but you can put in the information that you have. It can always be changed. And so we're going to say between 1870 and 1875. It's probably actually 1871 to 1874, but he could have died later in 1870, and he could have died earlier in 1875. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that, and it says from, that's how to standardize that one, and save this. Okay, and then let's go to his wife, Margaret, and we're going to go ahead and put in the same location, and we're going to put in, so it's from 1855 to 1865. And so we did not get an exact death date, but the census can give you a time frame between one time to the next time. And so people have this here. Now let me go in here. One of the things I could have done, this says GEDCOM is where this other person got the information. And I'm going to put down census records. So that gives me them the source. That's how I've chosen that time frame. So thanks for watching. Happy hunting!